In a world that often feels like it's spinning too fast, where the whispers of worry can so easily turn into a roaring storm, have you ever wished for a way to quiet the turbulence within? To find an anchor when the relentless waves of anxiety threaten to pull you under? If you've ever felt that familiar tightness in your chest, that relentless racing of your mind, that pervasive sense of unease, then you already know the profound impact anxiety can have on our lives. It relentlessly steals our peace, dims our joy, and can even blur our very sense of purpose. But what if I told you that within the timeless, profound wisdom of Buddhist teachings lie not just temporary coping mechanisms, but actual pathways to fundamentally transform your relationship with anxiety? What if there are simple, yet profoundly powerful thoughts that can dissolve its tenacious grip one moment at a time? In this comprehensive guide, spanning over 40 minutes, we're going to dive deep together. We'll explore 5 transformative thoughts, each deeply rooted in core Buddhist philosophy, that can help you reclaim your calm, cultivate profound inner peace, and navigate life's inevitable challenges with far greater equanimity. This isn't about chasing quick fixes or fleeting relief. It's about fostering a deeper understanding of your mind that can bring truly lasting change. So, I invite you to settle in, take a deep, grounding breath, and allow yourself to truly be present. Let's begin this journey of discovery together, towards a mind that is more peaceful, clear, and free. Now that we've set the stage, let's begin to truly understand anxiety, not just as a feeling, but through the profound, insightful lens of Buddhist philosophy. This isn't about dismissing your experience, but about illuminating its roots, offering a pathway to freedom that many traditions overlook. One of the most foundational concepts in Buddhism, and perhaps the most crucial for understanding anxiety, is anicca, or impermanence. Think about that word. Impermanence. It means that everything, without exception, is constantly changing. Nothing stays the same. Our bodies change, our relationships evolve, the seasons turn, even the thoughts and feelings swirling in our minds are in a perpetual state of flux. Consider this. Much of our anxiety stems from a deep-seated resistance to this fundamental truth. We crave permanence in a world designed for change. We cling to pleasant experiences, desperately hoping they'll last forever. And we dread unpleasant ones, fearing they'll never end. This very clinging, this resistance to what is a fertile ground for anxiety to take root and flourish. When we fight against the natural flow of change, we create tension, dissatisfaction, and ultimately, suffering. This brings us to our first transformative thought, a powerful antidote to the grip of impermanence. This too shall pass. It's a simple phrase, yet it carries the weight of centuries of wisdom. When an anxious thought arises, when a feeling of unease settles in, can you remind yourself gently that it is not a permanent fixture? Just as clouds drift across the sky, just as seasons transition from one to the next, so too will this feeling, this thought, eventually move on. This isn't about ignoring or suppressing your anxiety. It's about observing it with a quiet understanding that it is a temporary phenomenon. It's about witnessing the anxious thoughts, the racing heart, the worried mind, and recognizing that these experiences, like everything else, have a beginning, a middle, and an end. When we truly internalize "this too shall pass," we begin to loosen the white-knuckled grip we often have on our internal experiences. We give them space to arise, to exist, and to naturally dissipate. Let's delve a bit deeper into another core Buddhist concept that helps us grasp the nature of anxiety. Dukkha. Now, dukkha is often translated as suffering, but that word alone doesn't quite capture its full meaning. A more accurate interpretation might be dissatisfaction, unease, or the inherent unsatisfactoriness of life. Dukkha isn't about being perpetually miserable. It's about recognizing that our attempts to find lasting happiness in impermanent things will always leave us feeling a little off-kilter, a little unfulfilled. Anxiety, in many ways, is a manifestation of dukkha. It's the discomfort that arises when our expectations clash with reality, when our desire for control meets the unpredictable nature of existence. It's the unease of craving what we don't have, or fearing the loss of what we do. It's the mental suffering caused by our attachment to outcomes, to ideas, even to our own identities, all of which are subject to change. By understanding dukkha, we start to see that our anxiety isn't an isolated problem, but rather a symptom of a deeper human tendency to resist the way things are. It's a call to look inwards, to examine where our attachments lie, and to recognize that true peace doesn't come from controlling the world around us, but from skillfully navigating our inner landscape. So, as we move forward, remember these foundational insights: the ever-changing nature of anicca and the pervasive dukkha that arises from our resistance to it. They are not pessimistic views, but rather realistic assessments that, once understood, become powerful keys to unlocking a profound sense of inner calm. They pave the way for the acceptance and wisdom we'll explore in the coming sections. If the first step in dissolving anxiety is recognizing the ever-changing nature of things, the next, and arguably most liberating, step is to actively embrace what is. This can feel counterintuitive, especially when what is feels uncomfortable or even overwhelming. But think of it this way: how much energy do we expend fighting against reality, pushing back against situations we can't control, or wrestling with emotions we don't want to feel? This struggle, this constant resistance, is often a far greater source of our suffering than the actual situation itself. We get caught in a mental tug-of-war, pulling against the present moment, wishing things were different, or desperately trying to force an outcome that simply isn't in our hands. This is where the profound power of acceptance comes into play. It's not about resignation, not about giving up, but about a wise and courageous recognition of reality as it unfolds. Much of our anxiety is fueled by the powerful, yet often misguided, illusion of control. We believe that if we just worry enough, plan enough, or anticipate every possible negative outcome, we can somehow prevent it from happening. We attempt to micromanage the future, to dictate how others should behave, or to control events far beyond our influence. This relentless pursuit of control over things inherently uncontrollable is a direct pathway to anxiety. Buddhist teachings gently guide us away from this futile struggle. They invite us to understand that while we can influence certain aspects of our lives, the vast majority of existence is simply beyond our personal command. The weather, other people's choices, past events, and future uncertainties are all domains where our attempts at control will only lead to frustration and, inevitably, anxiety. The wisdom lies in discerning what we can influence, primarily our own minds and our responses, and what we cannot. This brings us to our second transformative thought, a powerful statement of liberation. I accept what is, knowing I can only control my response. This thought is a profound pivot point. It shifts our focus from the external, uncontrollable world to our internal capacity for choice. It's a declaration that we are no longer victims of circumstances, but empowered individuals who choose how to meet each moment. Consider what it truly means to accept what is. It means acknowledging the present reality, even if it's unpleasant, without adding a layer of judgment or resistance. If you're feeling anxious, acceptance means recognizing, okay, I am feeling anxious right now. Doesn't mean you like it or that you're happy about it. It simply means you're not fighting against the fact of the feeling's presence. It's like floating in water instead of desperately trying to swim upstream against a strong current. When you stop fighting, you save an enormous amount of energy. Think about an unexpected setback at work or a difficult conversation with a loved one. Our first instinct might be to resist it, to wish it hadn't happened, to replay it endlessly, trying to change the past. But when we accept what is, the fact that the setback occurred, the conversation unfolded as it did, we then free up our mental energy to focus on the one thing we can control, our response. How will I react to this setback? What will I say next in this conversation? What valuable lesson can I take from this experience? This practice of acceptance is deeply intertwined with mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just about being present. It's about being present with an attitude of open, non-judgmental awareness. When we mindfully observe our anxious thoughts or sensations without trying to push them away, label them as bad, or immediately solve them, we create a space. In that space, the intensity of the anxiety often begins to soften. We learn that a thought is just a thought, and a sensation is just a sensation. They don't have to define us or consume us unless we resist them. Embracing acceptance doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. It means skillfully engaging with life from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. It's a fundamental shift in how we relate to our experiences, moving from a state of constant battle to one of compassionate presence. As you practice reminding yourself, I accept what is, knowing I can only control my response, you will discover an immense wellspring of inner peace, a peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on your internal freedom. So, as we prepare to move into the realm of compassion, remember this powerful truth. True control comes not from trying to force the world to bend to our will, but from mastering the only thing truly within our power, our own mind, and our unwavering commitment to meet life with an open, accepting heart. We've explored the liberating power of accepting what is, a radical shift from fighting against reality. But what happens when that reality includes your own discomfort, your own anxious thoughts, or even your own perceived shortcomings? For many of us, the inner critic can be far harsher than any external judgment, turning anxiety into a self-perpetuating cycle of blame and inadequacy. Think about it. When anxiety surfaces, how often do we respond with kindness towards ourselves? More often, we might scold ourselves for feeling it, judge ourselves for not being strong enough, or spiral into thoughts of, why me? This internal dialogue, steeped in self-criticism and judgment, only adds fuel to the fire of anxiety, amplifying its intensity and making it feel even more isolating. It's a cruel irony that when we need support the most, we often become our own worst enemy. This is precisely where the profound wisdom of compassion, particularly self-compassion, offers a transformative pathway. It's a core tenet in Buddhist practice, known as metta or loving kindness. And while often directed outwards, its most immediate and powerful application, especially in the face of anxiety, is directed inwards. This brings us to our third powerful thought. May I be kind to myself in this moment, just as I would be to a dear friend. Pause for a moment and truly consider that. Imagine a cherished friend comes to you, distressed, overwhelmed by anxiety. Would you scold them? Would you tell them to just get over it? Of course not. You would offer warmth, understanding, reassurance, and empathy. Why then do we so often withhold that same tenderness from ourselves when we are suffering? Cultivating self-compassion isn't about self-indulgence, or denying responsibility. It's about recognizing our shared humanity, acknowledging that suffering is an inevitable part of life, and extending warmth and understanding to ourselves precisely when we are struggling. When anxiety arises, instead of tightening against it or judging yourself, you can consciously choose to soften, to acknowledge the discomfort with kindness. This shift in attitude, from adversary to ally, can dramatically change the texture of your anxious experience. Let's explore a practical way to embody this thought. When you notice anxiety, gently place a hand over your heart. Take a few deep, soft breaths, and silently or softly aloud, repeat phrases like, "May I be free from suffering. May I be at ease. May I be kind to myself." Or simply, "This is difficult right now, and that's okay. I am here for myself." This isn't about making the anxiety disappear instantly. It's about changing your relationship to it. When you approach yourself with kindness, you create a safe internal space for the feelings to be present without overwhelming you. It's like offering a warm blanket and a comforting presence to a frightened child. That child is a part of you. This practice slowly, gently, disarms the harsh inner critic that often accompanies anxiety, allowing for a more supportive and peaceful internal environment. Furthermore, Buddhism teaches us about interconnectedness, the understanding that all beings are woven into the same fabric of existence. Anxiety often makes us feel isolated, as if we are the only ones grappling with such intense internal struggles. But when we extend compassion not only to ourselves, but also to others, we realize that suffering, including anxiety, is a universal human experience. Every single person on this planet, at some point, has felt fear, worry, or unease. Recognizing this shared human experience can, paradoxically, reduce our own sense of isolation and lighten the burden of our anxiety. It moves us beyond our individual struggle and connects us to the vast ocean of humanity. By cultivating compassion for others who suffer, we subtly expand our capacity for compassion for ourselves, seeing our own anxiety not as a personal failing, but as a part of the human condition. So, as you navigate moments of anxiety, remember the gentle yet powerful invitation to treat yourself with the same warmth, understanding, and kindness you would offer to someone you deeply care about. This act of self-compassion is not a weakness, but a profound source of inner strength, paving the way for a more gentle and resilient heart. With the foundation of self-compassion firmly in place, we are now ready to explore how to skillfully detach from the very thought patterns that often fuel our anxiety, a crucial step in truly dissolving its power. We've touched upon accepting what is and embracing self-compassion. Now, let's turn our attention to the very fabric of anxiety itself, our thoughts. It's often not the external events that distress us, but the stories we tell ourselves about those events. Our minds are incredible storytellers, capable of weaving elaborate narratives, often full of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios that can plunge us into cycles of anxiety. Consider this. If you could press a pause button on your mind, what would you observe? Likely a constant stream of thoughts, opinions, memories, and projections into the future. Many of these thoughts are neutral, some are pleasant. But when anxiety takes hold, a particular kind of thought pattern emerges. These are the worried thoughts, the catastrophic predictions, the self-critical judgments that loop endlessly, convincing us that they are absolute truths. The crucial insight here is to understand that having a thought is vastly different from being that thought, or believing every thought that arises in your mind. Buddhism offers a profound perspective on this through the concept of anatta, often translated as non-self or no self. This isn't about denying your existence, but rather recognizing that your self isn't a fixed, unchanging entity, especially not the ever-shifting stream of your thoughts. Our minds are like a river. Thoughts are the water flowing through it. We are not the river itself, but the observer on the bank. This understanding empowers us to create a vital distance from overwhelming or anxious thoughts. This brings us to our fourth transformative thought, a powerful statement of mental liberation. I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness observing them. This thought is a game changer because it creates a crucial space between you, the observer, and the thought itself. It allows you to step back from the mental drama and see your thoughts for what they truly are: fleeting mental events, not immutable realities. When an anxious thought arises, like "I'm going to fail this task," or "they're judging me," instead of immediately identifying with it and believing it, you can gently remind yourself, there's the thought. I'm going to fail. But I am. The awareness noticing that thought. It's a subtle shift, but its impact is immense. It prevents you from getting swept away by the current of your thoughts. You become the conscious witness rather than the unwitting participant in your mind's often dramatic productions. A powerful practical exercise for this is often called leaves on a stream. Imagine yourself sitting by a gentle stream. As anxious thoughts arise, picture each one as a leaf floating down the stream. Don't grab the leaf. Don't analyze it. Just place it gently on the water and watch it float away. Another thought arises? Put that on a leaf too and let it go. This practice, done consistently, trains your mind to observe thoughts without clinging to them or getting entangled in their narratives. It demonstrates, experientially, that you can have a thought without being controlled by it. Another helpful technique is simply to label your thoughts. When an anxious thought appears, mentally say to yourself, "Oh, that's a worry thought," or "That's a judgment thought." By labeling it, you're not judging the thought itself, but simply acknowledging its nature. This act of naming creates a small but significant space between you and the thought, reducing its power over you. It's like a scientist observing a specimen under a microscope. You're curious, but detached. This process of detaching from thought patterns is not about emptying your mind, which is often a misunderstanding of meditation. It's about changing your relationship with your thoughts. It's about recognizing that your mind is a tool, a powerful instrument, but you are the one who wields it. You have the capacity to choose which thoughts you feed and which you simply observe and allow to pass. By internalizing the wisdom that I am not my thoughts, I am the awareness observing them, you unlock a profound sense of inner freedom. You discover that anxiety often thrives not on reality, but on the unexamined narratives we construct around it. This realization paves the way for the ultimate grounding practice, finding peace in the present moment, which we will explore next. Having learned to observe our thoughts without entanglement and to approach ourselves with kindness, we arrive at perhaps the most foundational practice for dissolving anxiety, grounding ourselves in the present moment. Think about where anxiety truly lives. Does it reside in this very breath you are taking right now? Or does it thrive in the what-ifs of tomorrow, the regrets of yesterday, or the endless rehearsals of future scenarios? The truth is, anxiety is overwhelmingly a future-focused phenomenon. It's the mind projecting into hypothetical situations, anticipating problems that may never arise, or replaying past events with an imagined different outcome. In doing so, we constantly pull ourselves away from the only reality we ever truly have, this very moment. We miss the subtle richness of what is actually happening right here, right now, because our mental energy is consumed by what isn't yet, or what no longer is. Buddhist teachings consistently emphasize the profound importance of the here and now. The past is gone, the future is not yet here. All that truly exists, all that we can truly experience, is this fleeting, precious present moment. When we allow our minds to be constantly dragged into the future by worry, we are, in essence, missing out on our own lives. We are foregoing the peace that is inherently available when we simply arrive in the present. This brings us to our fifth and final transformative thought, a deeply grounding anchor. Right now, in this very moment, I am safe and whole. This isn't a denial of any challenges you might be facing in your life. It's not about pretending problems don't exist. Instead, it's about shifting your attention to the immediate, tangible reality of your experience. In most moments, when you truly check in, physically and mentally, in this very instant, you are likely safe. Your breath is moving, your heart is beating, you are alive. This thought helps to cut through the anxious narrative that often tells us we are in constant peril, even when no immediate threat is present. To truly embody this thought, let's explore some simple yet powerful practices. The most accessible tool you have is your breath. Your breath is always in the present moment. It cannot be in the past or the future. So, when anxiety begins to swirl, gently bring your attention to the sensation of your breath. Feel the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and slowly leaving your body. Don't try to change it, just observe it. Each breath is an opportunity to return to the present, to anchor yourself in the now. Another way to ground yourself is through your senses. Engage fully with what you can see, hear, feel, smell, and even taste in this moment. Try the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, like the texture of your clothes or the ground beneath your feet. 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This simple exercise pulls your awareness out of your anxious thoughts and firmly into your immediate environment, reminding your nervous system that you are indeed present and often safe. This focus on the present moment is where all the previous insights culminate. When we understand impermanence, we know that anxious feelings will pass. When we practice acceptance, we meet the present moment as it is, without resistance. When we cultivate compassion, we meet our present discomfort with kindness. And when we detach from thought patterns, we realize our thoughts are not defining realities, but rather mental events occurring in the present. All of these pathways lead us back to the powerful, calming reality of the here and now. Finding peace in the present moment is not about achieving a permanent state of bliss. It's about developing the capacity to continually return to this anchor, to recognize when your mind has wandered into anxious projections, and gently, patiently, guide it back to the only place where life is truly happening. It's a continuous practice, a gentle redirection, offering a profound sense of calm that is always available, right here, right now. We've journeyed together through a profound exploration, from understanding the ever-changing nature of all things to grounding ourselves in the present moment. We've uncovered pathways that Buddhist wisdom offers to free the mind from the grip of anxiety. These aren't abstract concepts. They are practical tools, readily available within each of us. Let's briefly recap the gems we've unearthed. First, we have "This too shall pass," a gentle reminder of the impermanent nature of all experiences, helping us loosen our grip on what we wish to hold on to and our fear of what we wish to avoid. Second, the power of acceptance. I accept what is, knowing I can only control my response. This is a powerful pivot from trying to control the external world to mastering your own inner landscape, an endless source of inner strength. Then, we delved into compassion. May I be kind to myself in this moment, just as I would be to a dear friend. A heartfelt invitation to soothe the inner critic and extend genuine care to yourself, especially when you're struggling. Fourth, we learned to detach from the stories our minds create. I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness observing them. This realization helps us avoid being swept away by worries or judgments, becoming instead a calm observer of our own mental activity. And finally, we found peace in the present. Right now, in this very moment, I am safe and whole. An affirmation to anchor us in tangible reality, reminding us that anxiety often dwells in hypothetical futures, not in the living reality of this very second. It's crucial to remember that these 5 thoughts are not isolated remedies. They are threads woven into the same tapestry, supporting and reinforcing one another. When you understand impermanence, acceptance becomes easier. When you accept, compassion for self and others naturally flourishes. When you practice compassion and detach from thoughts, anchoring in the present becomes more profound. So, how do you integrate these teachings into your daily life? This is not a one-and-done exercise. This is a path, a continuous journey. Begin by choosing just one of these thoughts, whichever resonates most strongly with you right now. Write it down. Place it where you can see it daily. When anxiety arises, try bringing that thought to mind. Don't expect an instant vanishing of all fear. Instead, look for a subtle shift in your relationship to it. Perhaps just a slightly deeper breath, a moment of acceptance, or a tiny flicker of self-compassion. Remember, the path to dissolving anxiety is a journey, not a destination. It's about cultivating a different relationship with your inner world, one marked by understanding, acceptance, compassion, and presence. It's a gradual process, requiring patience, kindness, and a small commitment each day. I invite you to share your experiences in the comments below. Which thought resonated most powerfully with you? What practices help you find calm? Sharing can be immensely helpful to others on the same journey. If you found these teachings valuable, I encourage you to like this video, share it with anyone who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel for more content on Buddhist wisdom and inner peace. May you find peace. May you be free from suffering, and may you awaken to the wisdom and calm that have always been within you.